Dreaming of owning your dream homes? EGA Investment is here for you. Secure our quality bungalows with 2, 3 or 4 bedrooms, or our story buildings 3 or 4 to 5 bedrooms at very affordable prices with flexible payment plans at our Sanyang Seaview Estate, where you can enjoy the cool breeze with modern infrastructure such as tar roads, covered drainage system, modern electrification with street lights, gated entrance with security posts, and social amenities such as gas station, shopping mall, medical clinic, park, schools, children daycare, and a lot more. Our dedicated team of professionals will keep the estate clean at all times, provide security and patrol team within the estate premises, install latest technologies such as CCTV, Wi-Fi, home network installation, solar panel, and power backup system. Also, check out for our additional home facilities and interior design service such as premium tiling, wall plaster, home landscape, fingerprint home lock, and a lot more. Visit our office at Senegambia Kololi Highway and get a free site visit tour, or contact us on 4464-838. WhatsApp us on 3259220. Or you can visit our Facebook page or Instagram on EGA Investments. EGA Investments, we are first in properties.
That is the emphasis. And what you are saying, you are just name calling. We are saying from the ocean, how many vessels could we have put in the ocean by now? How many licensed vessels do we have? How much have they paid? How many have we captured and taken to the bank, to the courts? All that, you could have bought fishing vessels and they would have been plying our waters and bringing resources to the nation and putting it in a bank, and the cooperative banking system would have taken root, and you would have been sending our children from GTTI into the productive base, from the farm into the productive base, women from the garden into the productive base. That is the way of the future. Nobody is saying exclude a private sector. The private sector has its place in order to take money from the banking system in order to invest in that productive base. Yes, let me borrow my, yes, the private sector at this moment, 1.6 billion, which is almost over 60-something thousand million dollars, is actually what is traded in foreign currency in our banking system. But where is it in our productive base? That is the role of the private sector. Government has no role in owning, for example, a hotel, Ocean Bay Hotel, and all this owned by Social Security. That's not the purpose of government. That should go into the hands of the private sector. That's where the private sector should invest. But the land that our people own, you give it to foreign investors to take over your land, employ your women to go and work there for pittance, and they export and make billions. Is that the type of system he's talking about? We are saying if DOI was in charge of this country, not a single land will be sold by the government. Everything will go in the hands of the Gambian people in terms of ensuring that the Gambian people work for their development. That's what we are talking about. The gardens in Kafute, etc., should be owned by our own people, and the cooperative bank will assist them to be able to get the resources to be able to produce.
Thank you.
That's what we are talking about.
Doctor, yeah, is your question actually answered? Yes, but also is your question answered?
Because I got confused because the system is so vague that I got confused. Because why? Because Norway did not build their sovereign wealth through a centrally planned cooperative system, but by tapping into their oil industries. And Sweden did not build their sovereign wealth through a centrally planned cooperative system, but by having what they call the mixed economy, where the state allows free enterprise and innovation and ingenuity, but also the state also comes in to ensure that the market is regulated. But also when it comes to labor, Honorable mentioned that we cannot allow our people to be exploited and paid less than the value of their labor because investors are coming. That depends on the government in power. Once a serious government put the right regulatory frameworks in place, the right laws, the right labor laws, no investor will come and exploit our people, because when you come to invest in the Gambia, you will work within the framework of our laws, environmental laws, our labor laws, but also in a free market economy, there's nothing wrong. And nobody is saying that all our land will be owned by foreigners. There are young Gambians who can also invest in the Gambia, own land, own fishing trawlers. Haruna, it has been tried and tried and tried. When governments go into business, they fail because governments are not good at doing business. They are good at making the right regulatory frameworks so that money is created and that wealth government uses it through taxes or other means to invest it in people, schools, water, electricity, roads, and healthcare.
Honorable Sallah, you want to react?
How are you getting money from the Saudi fund, Kuwaiti fund, and all these funds in the Middle East? You mean all those investments in oil is owned by private owners outside, or is it really in the hands of the Saudi and other governments? Do you know how those people manage and accumulate wealth? You're saying Norway does not accumulate sovereign national wealth.
I did not say that. I did not say that. I said they made their sovereign national wealth not through a centrally planned cooperative system, but by tapping on their wealth, their oil resources.
Their oil money is going where?
It's going to a sovereign wealth. That's how they made.
Who is in control of the sovereign wealth?
The state.
Well, what are you talking about?
No.
What are you talking about? Let's be honest.
No. It's very clear. What I'm saying is, Saruna.
No, what you are saying is not clear. You are trying to.
It's about how it is created. That is what the difference is. How is wealth created? Gonga is saying that wealth can be created through a cooperative, centrally planned cooperative system. We are saying that we don't believe that. We don't believe in that. We don't think that are succeeded elsewhere. Wealth can be created.
Who is saying centrally planned system? Those are your words. Because you want to give an image. That is the image. And let's be open. We are saying currently the central bank is the depository of the consolidated fund of the nation. What is there is tax money, loans and grants. That has not enabled the country to build its productive base. We are saying, if you want to build the roads that you're talking about, the infrastructure you're talking about, where are you going to get the money? That is the fundamental question.
There are many ways in which you can get the money.
Where?
For example, if you create the right environment, you can tap into bonds.
You can tap into what?
Into bonds. For example, if the Gambia had the right framework, the right environment, diaspora bonds are there. There is global capital whereby investors can come. There are public-private partnerships to invest in the infrastructure sector to build roads and bridges. But also, there is nothing wrong with what America is doing now. Today, they are going to invest $500 billion to build roads, to build bridges, to build car charging stations. But these are also, they are making money from global bonds. So for me, I don't think that money should be made through the centrally planned cooperative system, but there is funds out there through the public sector, through trade, through services to make money, and this money can be invested in infrastructure.
Okay, the question again. We have the central bank. It depends on tax, grants, and loans. Where are you going to tap money to put in that central bank to build your roads? You are saying float more bonds, have more treasury bills, borrow more. That's what you are saying. If you borrow, you must pay.
Of course.
How are you going to pay? Where are you going to get the money to pay?
By making sure that you diversify the economy and expand your revenue base. Because right now our revenue base is contracted. Our agriculture sector is not properly, the potential is not properly tapped. Our ports, our state-owned enterprises are not really bringing dividend to government. So it's not the problem of the central bank. It's about we've not been able to diversify our economy, tap into those sectors that can bring us the funds that we need, like the agricultural sector. It is underperforming. We are doing subsistence farming and seasonal farming. Our tourism sector is not bringing what it's supposed to bring. We are doing seasonal tourism. We have the marine resources, which is not also bringing money. So it's about coming with the right ideas and innovative ideas to make sure that we diversify our economy and make sure that we also tap wealth from other sources through taxation, through investments in agriculture, investments in services to bring in money.
You are simply saying the same thing again. You are saying loans and loans and loans, bonds is nothing.
No.
But, well, what is bond? Can you explain bond?
No, it's not this is not an economic class.
Well, yes, it's important for it.
No.
But what I'm saying is, America now.
For clarity, for purpose of clarity.
America now rely on bonds. And what China has simply done to come to Gambia, establish a state construction company during Jawara's time, build your state house, build the Supreme Court building, build your stadium, you pay, they deposit it in the bank in Britain or US, and generate resources from that, and then invest in the American bond market, because America is a country of last resort where all these people will deposit their money, and the American government can rely on bonds to be able to provide infrastructure. But we are talking about Gambia. We're talking about Gambia, not America. So the issue here is, where are you going to tap the resources other than loans? You are talking about bond, it's nothing but loan. Treasury bill is loan from government, it's domestic borrowing.
Through foreign direct investment, through foreign portfolio investments. This can happen in the Gambia, and it's happening because with the Gambia today, our FDI is very small because we did not create the right environment. Other countries are tapping into FDI. That is why I said that we live in a highly hyper economy, and countries that are able to create the right environment to attract global wealth, wield it and use it wisely, are able to transform very quickly.
Okay, let's say you've attracted the global wealth. How will it reach it farmer?
This will be your
how will it
last
reach
on
the
this,
farmer?
and we'll give him his last, and we'll proceed. I think we're rumbling now.
How will your global wealth reach the farmer?
Well,
to provide seed, fertilizer, and farming implement to the farmer.
What we are saying is that we have to move away from the kind of farming we are talking about, giving host and fertilizer to farmers. That is a cooperative system whereby you say you create a cooperative and give host and fertilizer. We are going to mechanize agriculture, where we use machines and new knowledge for agriculture. And this can be only done by attracting foreign direct investment to invest in the agricultural sector.
You hear some of them clapping for you? But let them answer the question with you. We have farmers now without fertilizer, farming implements and seed. You want to mechanize. How will you get that to them? You're going to give it to them free of charge? Are you going to sell it to them?
Well, that is the difference is that we cannot.
How will you do that?
Well, I mean, your question is vague.
It's not vague.
It's very vague.
How will you get resources to the farmer to produce?
That is up to the farmer to do. If anybody wants to get into agriculture, what we do is to provide access to finance to do agriculture.
Access
we
to
finance
finance.
People money and farming.
May we bring this house in order? Let's bring the house in order, gentlemen. House in order. House in order. House in order. Honorable Sallah, a question for you from Mohammed Tex Kanyi, I think. It says, there is no doubt that Coalition 2016 registered a number of successes, which includes regime change. However, should and can any individual partner of Coalition 2016, in this case PDOIS, take glory of uttering those successes while abdicating responsibility for the failures? If yes, why? If no, why?
I've said that Coalition 2016 developed in stages. The first stage of ensuring peaceful transfer of power is what we participated in. That's obvious to everybody. The second phase of the executive assuming office and formulating policies and implementing them, we are not a part of that. Pure and simple. And that is the phase that people are criticizing. But we are not part of that. We did not abdicate responsibility because I've said that we even struggle to assess so that we can have an agency for sustainable socio-economic development. We would have tapped all the expertise in the country. But that had not actually happened. So essentially then, what is happening is the executive implementing its policies. That's why we are not taking responsibility for that.
Dr. Ismaila, the same from Mohammed Tex. Like you, I am a firm believer of the principles of collective responsibility in a group's commissions and omissions during the course of executing its responsibilities. Differently, in further dissecting the cause or causes of a problem for meaningful lessons to be learned. Recognition must be made on who championed the failures that have been registered for the purposes of self-evaluation. In the case of Coalition 2016, who do you think should be the champion and why?
The champion for what?
Failures of Coalition 2016.
Well, I wouldn't call them champion of failures. I wouldn't call them champion of failures. What I have always said I'm arguing is that the coalition had two objectives, strategic objectives, as explicitly written in the coalition agreement. That one is to effect regime change through peaceful means, and second, create the enabling environment to have elections in a level playing field. They succeeded in one, effecting regime change, but the second one did not happen. So I wouldn't call them champions of failure. I would say that there were weaknesses, there were failures, and the agenda that was promised did not come to fruition.
Now, I'll ask this question to you. A senior journalist person just texted me this to say, want both of you to answer this question, by the way, but we'll start with Honorable. Says, you both have very interesting ideas, but will you be willing to work together on behalf of the Gambian people? That is DOI and Citizens Alliance. Honorable Sallah?
Well, we have said that all forces that are interested in system change must work together to save the Gambia. That's what we have said. It is left for Citizen Alliance to define itself. But for us, we want to eradicate poverty. We want to eradicate injustice. We want to eradicate ignorance. How to get wealth to that poor farmer, to eradicate the poverty of that farmer, to that young student finishing school at GTTI to come and have a productive base to work. That woman who wants to sell does not have any means to do so. How to get wealth to that person so that they can produce is fundamentally our objective. This is not centrally planned. It is not talking about the state owning the land. It is saying the people owning the land. It's to give fertilizer, seed, farming implements to those people. It is saying that that person who owns the milling machine is a person owning the milling machine and processing. That person owning the shop is the person owning the shop and using it to sell to earn an income. That is what we are talking about. That a state like Gambia, you need a cooperative financial system that will not charge interest on that farmer, interest on that person, young person coming from school, interest on that woman who wishes to sell. Interest will disappear. What is important is a revolving fund to make those people productive. If CA definitely is seeing Gambia in that light, well, obviously, we are evolving to become partners. The other elements of the private sector, there is no country in this world that will not encourage a private sector. What DOI is in fact saying is that the private sector in the Gambia should be linked to the private sector of Africa so that we can build up the base rather than waiting for oil companies from other lands to come and invest in our oil resources. South Africa may have the potential, Egypt may have, all these countries may have the potential to be able to come up through an African investment bank, to build the companies that will be able to harness our resources. This is what we are talking about.
Thank you, Dr. Ceesay.
That's a point of convergence of agenda between DOI and CA. And what is that? That we need to ensure we make the right policy, social policy investments so our people can live in dignity. So our young people can have jobs, decent jobs that pay, so they can live in their country in dignity, so that our hospitals are well-staffed and well-equipped, and there is health care where you are scheme, where every Gambian who needs medical care gets it, affordable, so that there is enough electricity, there is enough water for our people, so they don't have to drink well water or fetch water, but in their own homes. So there is the basics. That's what we want. Now, how we go about it, how we create the wealth to really fund those social projects, that is where there's a bit of a difference, but I don't think the difference is also rigid that we are not able to make a compromise. But like I said, it's politics. What is important is that the agenda is right, the framework is right, and it can bring sustainable development and transformation to this country. We can work with any party that has that agenda.
We would have closing statements by both, 5 minutes. We will also let both of you choose a language of your choice to make as some sort of a summary of the discussion and your ideas, and you may choose Wolof or Mandinka for both of you. But before we get to that, there's so many questions are coming in, but let us please remind everyone, this is a beginning. We cannot exhaust everything in a single debate. So we will therefore have to bring this to an end sooner or later. They've been standing for 2 hours, and definitely we cannot be here all night. But Honorable Sallah, I'll start with you. This one says, there is a pool of educated Gambians everywhere in the world. Would you, as a president, as a presidential candidate, as a political party, consider tapping into that wealth of knowledge for growth for Gambia?
Well, that's precisely so. That is what was recommended to this government, to create an agency for sustainable socio-economic development, to create an expert bank. We have emphasized that we must create an expert bank, create a database for every Gambian who has something to contribute to be featured in that database. They will be the people that you can put together to develop your public sector, to develop your private sector, to develop your cooperative sector, to develop your informal sector. These 4 sectors must be developed in any economy in developing countries before you can eradicate poverty. And our people do not only have the capacity in terms of technical knowledge, but they may also have the financial resources to invest. So you must be able to pool them together and pool them so that strategically you can take them to the sectors where they can invest and facilitate the productive development of our economy.
Doctor, same question.
Yes, of course. We believe that the diaspora has the power in terms of knowledge and wealth. And within CA, one of our vision is to tap into that wealth and power. Therefore, when the current government went to Brussels to attend the so-called donors conference to get money, I think it should have also been accompanied with a brain conference to also attract Gambians who are working abroad in very different institutions, in very many different sectors and fields with big expertise to come and help build this country. So we're open to that.
Last question, really, I'll have to bring this to an end sooner. The inequality in the Gambia is so apparent, Honorable Sallah, particularly between rural and urban Gambia. What would you do to bring about development to Gambians and some sort of equality?
Well, we have mentioned that there is no single village where you will find sovereign wealth. Every village is dependent, and they can be productive sectors where if you have a land that can be the village land, the cooperative bank will give them seed, fertilizer, farming implement to produce, and it goes into the village treasury for the buying of milling machines, etc. If they have a sort of a pond, you can transform it into aquaculture so that they can earn and put it in the village treasury for the provision of the things that you need, infrastructure that you need in the village. The village, as a productive unit, provided funds by the cooperative bank, will enable each family farm to earn enough to be able to invest in infrastructure, in proper housing in the village setup, so that you will have housing schemes that will be devoted to the villages, and consequently that will upgrade the development of the villages. Not only that, look at what is happening in Katong, Patakonku, Sanyang. you are mining, but there is no percentage that is retained for the village. You must have a memorandum of understanding and an agreement that will ensure that a given percentage will go to the village. Royalties will be paid by all the NAWEC poles, Gamtel poles, and other poles that you put in villages to be able to sell electricity, sell credit, in order to ensure that each village has earning capacity to be able to provide the services that the village needs. So there is absolutely no doubt that the law of balanced and proportionate development must be implemented to the full, where the urban area will develop side by side with the rural area. That's why we're talking about the civil service reform is to augment salary on the basis of the quantity and quality of work done. But you can only do that by enhancing the earning of sovereign national wealth. And if you do that, then the housing system, you can have civil servants having built housing system for them, they can be earning and paying to own the houses. That's how we intend to change the social
How do you address inequality?
Just to pick up from him, yes, enhance sovereign national wealth, even though maybe perhaps differently, and invest it in social projects. For example, one of the reasons why there is so much inequality today, because there are no equal opportunities in this country. Education, there is no equality in education. Educational provision and access, if there's no quality, it's not also equal. It means that a child born in Kololi gets access to more quality education than a child born in Kolior. So we are going to make sure that we really have interventions that can ensure that every child born in this country has equal opportunities by investing in quality education for every part of this country, and also by coming up with interventions to really remove or to blur to some extent the rural-urban dichotomy by reversing development, by coming up with housing projects. Likewise, we are going to build 100,000 homes, which will be in the rural areas, making sure that young people have jobs by providing skills training and building their capacities. Because once you provide people with jobs and they are paid well, you increase standards of living. When you increase standards of living, you build a bigger middle class. Wealth is created more, and then that wealth is invested back into the people. And in the short to medium term, you don't eradicate equality totally, but at least you balance the country in a way whereby at least every Gambian has access to the most basic needs and lives a dignified life.
We cannot thank enough Mr. Saul Fraser and Global Properties for agreeing to facilitate this debate today financially. And we want to say thank you to him and his company. And we want to encourage the private sector to support such initiatives. We all learn out of it. And our democracy can only grow by the exchange of ideas. And I've said this before and I'll say it again. Our politics will not change if you continue drumming Saurba and Baramasendeng and eating Benachin. It's the battle of ideas, it's policies, it's engaging with the public that will bring the change that we desire. A lot of young people have been registered this year. I am very proud that a lot of young people are now taking part in the process. We have to take responsibility. We have to own our country. And I think our young people needs to be majorly commended for that. I've seen a lot registering. Now, Honorable Sallah, you have 5 minutes. You can make points, you can make emphasis, you can make closing statement in English.
On the 21st of January, the former president left the country. But on the 20th, not a single soul was in the street. The country was a desert, hanging on the balance of probability. I remember going to where President Barrow resides, and we were anticipating anything on that day because it was the final day. Either ECOMIC will come by force and bombs would have destroyed the State House and the bunkers that are there would explode, the hospital close by, the whole of Banjul would have been in flame. And it is now incredible that at that material time, many Gambians were calling for that to happen, not knowing what the implications would be. But we kept a steady course, guided economy, ensured that the security forces in the country were united under the president, under the republic, to facilitate the entry of ECOMIC as a solidarity force rather than a force of intervention. That is how Gambia welcomed President Adama Barrow at the airport, and thousands, tens of thousands of people celebrated his coming and took him to his residence. We achieved that as a Gambian people. The next phase is for us to remain united, to know that our enemy now is poverty. Our enemy now is ignorance. Our enemy now is injustice. We are capable of putting that to an end. We are going to die. What legacy are we going to leave behind for our children and children's children? Are we going to continue to clap for politicians because of words? Or are we going to listen very carefully, thoughtfully, to gather ideas that will enable us to make informed choice? What is the purpose of this discourse? It is to help each of us to take ownership of our minds, to know that we are sovereign, to know that we own this country. And because we are sovereign, we are the decision makers. And therefore, this country will sink if we don't think and take the right decisions. It will float if we think and make the right decisions. This is the starting point of the battle of ideas. It must not be seen as battle of individuals. Ideas can be exchanged. I heard Dr. Ceesay mention sovereign national wealth.
2 minutes, sir.
I believe that is what they also wish to rely on to fight poverty. I don't see how we can fight poverty in any other way, through loans, grants, and taxes. We must harness our sovereign national wealth that belongs to all the people. The question is, how are we going to distribute it to be able to eradicate poverty? The debate will continue on that score.
Before I give Dr. Ceesay the floor, I'd like to thank very much iAfrica TV for partnering with us here today and providing the screen. I'd like to also thank Gambia Music Store for providing the sound system and the lights. I'd like to thank Kerr Fatou Network, Gambia Talents, Guy Nako, and all of the media here today. This is in fact our debate. This in fact is the new beginning. And the only winners today is the Gambian media and the Gambian public. Dr. Ceesay, 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Haruna. Our people have suffered for far too long. Since gaining independence in 1965 from Great Britain, we have not been able to build a country where every Gambian citizen will live a dignified life. We are not able to feed our people. We are not able to cure our people when they are sick. We are not able to give our children quality, relevant education where they can have mastery and compete in the global stage. We are not even able to give our people clean water, let alone clean or cheap electricity. We are not able to build good roads. We've not done anything for ourselves. The time has come for us to change and transform this country. I agree with Honorable that we need to unite. The Mandinka is not the enemy of the Wolof. The Fula is not the enemy of the Jola. Do is not the enemy of CA. UDP is not the enemy of NPP. The Christian is not the enemy of the Muslim. We have a common enemy, all of us. Whether you are Doi, whether you are CA, whether you are Manjago or Mandinka, whether you are a Christian or Muslim, whether you are a nationalist, a communist, whether you are a monarchist, we all have a common enemy in this country. We've not been able to fight and win against this common enemy because we've not been united. And our differences have always been out there. What is that common enemy? Poverty, disease, bad roads, lack of education. And until we unite, this enemy will stay and it will defeat us. In 1965, Gambians made a very difficult decision whether to vote and leave the British Empire or to stay within the orbit of the British Empire. Nobody believed in the potential of the Gambia to exist as an independent nation. They said it was not a viable country. And in fact, it was called the birth of an improbable nation. Yet, we persisted, we made it. We gained independence. We were tested in 1981, we made it. In 94, we were tested again, we made it, and in 2016. We are more hopeful that if we can vote to get independence in 1965, under difficult circumstances, and vote to bring democracy and the rule of law in 2016 under difficult circumstances, I see no reason why we cannot go back to the polls in 2021 and vote to bring development to this country. Because our independence and democracy is meaningless if it is not accompanied by development. Now is the time for us to put our differences aside and work for this country. It takes one generation to build the country for the next generation. We have to build the country for the next generation. It is projected that we will be 5 million people in 2050. To build a country for 5 million people starts now. What jobs will we create for them? What jobs will exist in 2050? What kind of roads do we want to build in 2050? How much energy do we need, and how do we generate that energy in 2050? How do we ensure in 2050 where there is energy security, there is food security, there are global challenges, climate change? We all see what's happening. How do we bring climate resilient societies? How do we adapt to climate change and build a country so the next generation that will come and find a country where they can live in dignity and not make the decision to die at sea than stay in their country. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Adam, I saw you dozing there for a minute. I was wondering what happened to the sound. But I'm glad we're here. One of our sponsors is the Forbes Academy. If any of us here are wondering why and how these two honorable gentlemen are able to deliver such powerful speeches and arguments in public speaking, you ought to see Pastor Forbes, and he is a wonderful trainer in public speaking. He's one of our sponsors tonight. Honorable Sallah, you have 5 minutes, Mandinka, Manjago, Jola, Wolof, but any local language to address the general public on any points you wish. It could be on Coalition 2016, or it could be addressing a general point that the public needs to be aware of. 5 minutes, sir.
Bankuding yamu kangolet. Bankuding yamu sembolet. Kango ning sembo. Naman taratunting londoleka. Fahamureleka. Akatinya ronat. Mengye Gambia batandi. Wale mu balangot. Katonya je nyala ye balang. Ya soso. Ye dung ding kokon. wole ya kendi mol meta ka wulu bata kono ka mem bata kono ka keba ya bata kono ka fa bata kono kele dindingol tu bata kono yemem bata kono keba bata kono fa bata kono mamare gol wonyo ela bal wala nafale wole nyan badna ate ban nola londo kon ate ban nola tonya kon ate ban nola kambengo koma banko wuluta wole kan pour nga ke kilinti gambia dingol be yake kilinti killing mam fess ya kilinti bawo kilingo killing carte ke se killing wole be e ka wole karfa pour ye president o tombo ya karfa pour que député tombo kanselo tombo wole mu toñati woto ntel bele nyanta sila ka crossroki musilo le nyanta tamala pour que foire ya bay musilo le nyanta tamala pour que tilimbale ya bay musilo le nyanta tamala pour que fahamu bale ya bay ni nga wasilo lon doron la tamala doron yirwobe sabatila dahabe sabatila mo bebe dahala nyim banko kam al nimbara liñu woné moy né pour nek doomi rew lamu laaj moy baat doomi rew ya baat la doomi rew ya doole la doole boo xam ne suñ jiitalul xel mu nekk neen ñun ñëpp xam nañ ne doole ak baat soo ko wéerul ci dëgg mu nekk neen soo ko wéerul ci xam-xam mu nekk neen soo ko wéerul ci ànd mu nekk neen bon nag ñun doomi Gambie dañu war a ànd topp dëgg sàkku xam-xam pour xam dëgg gi suñu deful loolu dinañ continuer di judd ci coono di màggee ci coono di màgget ci coono di dee ci coono doom ci coono dee ci coono sët ci coono dee ci coono lim laaj mooy ñu xam ne ñun ñoo moom réew mi xeet goo mun a jógee diine goo mun a jógee foo mun a jógee fekk doomi Gambie nga yaa ñëpp a yam mu mel nag émo boobu li mu laaj mooy boole suñu doole yi wante foog ñu jiital suñu xel yi bon nag suñu toggin ci réew mi tey li mu laaj ku nekk ci ñun laaj boppam ban yoon lañ war a jaar pour dàq ndóol dàq coono dàq réer dàq noteel suñu demee bi gis yoon woowu ñu jaar ci rek coono jeex na ndóol jeex na noteel jeex na réer jeex na ñu mun a tedd ci kaw suuf nit loolu la moom rab moom judd ci coono ba dee ci coono nit mooy ñàkk a tedd loolu la ñu moom nañ aw ci yooni nit ñun ñëpp ñu mun a mucc jërë leen jëf ci déglu.
jërëjëf honorable Sallah Dr. Ismaila Manjago Jola Serir Olof 5 minutes.
Barka bake Haruna mbe tentula mbe jayla kato minke kaje ko nyin kacha e soto nyin kacha do muna sabu muna daliloti olon pour nga na jang kacha nga jube mbe banko mba tamandi la nyaadi le banko la na fulo mba do ko la nyaadi le ni nga do ko nga ke banko dingol kan pour ka bata bay e sa banko dio banko ding e si sabatino Gambia banko kan foroya kono anin horomo kono anin buña kono Gambia di ngomita batala kabari ngam fan soto fo sañ muka ku kenon fayye na molla jolman si ikara sate dolte molman jio soto la suul kono gi senango tije molman kurango soto l'hôpitalol man soto silol man beteya sañilolo sañilolo wo molle ka cartel fayye senelal batata la seno mi nafa fondin kelman do ko soto bari sanjilolo kana carte tanka fay oto meta carte fayola ba ni la carte mi nafa ba mi yalon ko wala ka jiyo sabab ji senango anin kurango anin l'hôpitalol anin sila kendol anin do ko pour funding kel carte le kawo sababu to nin carte ma wo finan oto na carte fayo hani kabi aman nafa soto oto sañ wato sitale pour nga kuning nga ñayele ngana moy politician la miyalon ko wala si ferol fenam ferol miyalon ko wala si gambe bondi batakono balu day soneya fondinke do ko soto momo sasare se jarebe damen ndingole karango miyalon ka abetiatale isaje asina fa o wato le kana siteng mais so ka nyaadile nga kambeng nga si fatam fanso bay fatam fansi nga bay wodone si karos batino gambe bankun kan on me mo be tentula mbal jeyla ka foko nyimu kacadri kacami alon ka kumata bake ni monata bi ako aliya karafa bankola aka nyinin ka kudantan la ako alin karafa la jata kende ala alla balu aldingola karango alla silo bawo nafulo min ka doku ani min ka kaji akatara telebulu woto wato sita ning wo monata aya nyinin ka bankola ala nyinin ka ku sabala itolon jumadi ya jiko sotole bang ya balafa sotole bang ya hino sotole bang ni mo sotote banko dilela ne obotaje il munati ne dunta politiko kono podun ka banko dingol na falom bang fo kete fo ngona fa sabanjango ilafta ka muneke fere jumalle betebul ba politiko mu ferolati ninning question sabol amari ma jabeno a nyama utumul miyalon ko manjana kan karte dila bari ba jabila nyaali le wolonko nin kacha sifal politician yana lo gambe dingol nyaato ka fo ilafta ka banko samba nyaadi le abako bi dara do ko ñola rek yana ye interview ya fo be do ko kala nyaari le ani monela expertise ti dandi be do ko dile la or même be tentula mbal jayla bake fang nse wota bake. Do you have another 2 minutes for Wolof?
I think we will provide it. You used only one of your 2 minutes, so you had an excess 2 minutes. You can have it now.
jërëjëf suma mbokk yi di leen santa di leen gërëm di gërëm Haruna mi nga xam ne moom moo waral jotaay gi tey jotaay bi am solo sax ñëw toog fii ñëw waxtaan ñun mi nga xam ne ñu ñooy politiciens yi bugg a dem si doomi réew di ne dénka leen ñu réew ku la wax nga dénka ko réew nag am na lu mu la wax mooy dénka ma sa dunda sa wérgu yaram sa doom yi seen jànga seen yoon yi ndox ak courant ak seen kaaraange kon kooku bala nga ko dénk réew war nga seetaat kooku mooy kan ndax am na jikko ji ndax am na pas-pas bi ndax am na éene bi ak yërmande bi pour ñu dénk ko réew xam-xam moom waaw mën nañoo laaj waaye soo amee xam-xam nag amuloo yërmande sa xam-xam amul njëriñ nga am xam-xam amuloo yar amuloo teegin sa xam-xam amul njëriñ nga am xam-xam amuloo yërmande sa xam amul njëriñ kon foog ñu seet jikko yooyu noonu ñu tënka ko ñu xam ndax kii mat naa dénk réew ñaare bi mooy lan mooy sa pas-pas lan nga bëgg a def lan moo tax nga dugg si politique pour njëriñ askan bi la ndax pour njëriñ sa boppa ñetteel bi yan jéego nga bëgg a jël yan pexe parce que politique mooy pexe yi lan naka ngaa liggéey koom-koomi réew mi pour nga jël ko nga def ko si doomi réew mi pour gis ne képp ko xam ne yaa ngi si biir réew mi sa lépp mot ndaw yi am xëy fu ñoo xëyee seen xëy njëriñ leen ku feebar ñu mun laa faj foo nekka ñëpp am ndox bu set bu sell la am courant bu set bu sell la te yomba yoon yi baax suñ doom yi mun a jànga loolu lañ bëgg a biir Gambia fii kaaraange am soo nekkee sa kër wala si biti di nga xam ne kenn du ñu dal sa kaw gaañ la wala jël sa alal pour ñu am nag am loolu nag foog ñu mën koo nekk benn wax naa ko fi si angale te xaajala bi bari na surtout si mbiri xeet du yóbbu réew fenn daf di yaaxa réew te joolaa bi du nooni olof bi soose bi du nooni saraxulle bi te ñun ñëpp benn la ñoo nekk benn ñoo nekk Gambia soo génnee olof bi Gambia nekkaatut Gambia dafa des soo génnee beneen xeet tamit nekkaatut Gambia kon ñu nekk benn waaw gis-gisi politique nag munta nekk benn waaye lu gën a am solo mooy benn Gambia lañ gis pour gis ne ñu liggéey réew mi su ko defee képp koo xam ne yaa ngi fi nga di kafe si ngor di kafe si taranga su boobaa suñ ndaw yi am xëy duñu wax ne ñu dee si géej moo leen gënal daan ñu toog seen dikkaan moo di leen jaajëfal di ñaan nag di ñaax ne waxtaan gi bu mu fi em ñu ñëw di waxtaan ak askan wi ñu gën a waxtaan ñu xam képp ku nekk lan mooy sa pexe lan mooy say jéegoy politique lan mooy say gis-gis su boobaa su ko defee ñu mën a tànn politiciens yoo xam ne ñu mën a defar réew bi.
Ismaila ñaari yëf nga boole ñaari yëf yu doy waar nga boole ab jàngalekat ak politicien loolu foo ko boolee rek moom waaye di leen jaajëfal bu baax kontaan nañ torop waaye nag di digg waa Gambia ne lii lañ fas yéene dinañ fexe ñu woo yeneen kilifa yu nekk ci yeneen parti ñoom it ñuy jàkkaarloo di waxtaan waaye waxtaan booba nuñ koo teralee mooy ne dañoo xool ne tey de li ñoo waxtaan mooy mbéy mi ñu indi ñaar ñu wax seen xel ak xalaat ci loolu buñ jógee ci loolu ñu am beneen waxtaan boo xam ne koom-koom laa doon ñu waxtaanee loolu di wax borom parti yi yëpp nag fukk ak juróom-ñetta yi yëpp ne na ngeen pare nañ fugga seen bunte yi pour ñëpp ñëw liñ fi def tey doorte la ñëpp mënuñoo bokk ñëw fii waxtaan bi nu mu yànjee nii nu mu neexee nii nu mu jaare yoon nii parce que ñaari nit rek la buñ fi indi woon ñaar fukki nit kenn du déggante loolu moo tax nag te waxtaani tey bi ñoom seen boppa ñoo ko sumba man sob moo ma ci boole docteur dafa wax waxam wér géejam géeja boobu noonu keeks bëgg a koo wéeri mu ne ko déet wooyal say kilifa ma waxtaan ak ñoom ma ne lii ñu gars yi di waxtaan nii de moom xaaral ma dem foofu toog si diggante bi aate waaye kenn rek moo gañe tey mooy Gambia te lii lañ bëgg lii lañ nemoon suñu réew ñuy mun a waxtaan ñun yépp kenn du yuuxu sa morom kenn du tàccu sa morom kenn du saaga sa morom te defe naa loolu am nañ ko fi tey di leen jaajëfal yéen yépp kaddu yi rafet nañ xel yi rafet nañ kon lii sax waxtaan la woon te waxtaan bi ànd ak teey yar ak teggin wane ngeen loolu di leen ñaanal yéen ñaari kilifa yu teew fii tey ne leen ne mat ngeen ay kilifa nii laa def kon donc di leen jaajëfal di jaajëfal seen parti yi parce que bu parti yi nanguloon xëy na doo leen fi mën a ñëw tey ba ñëw am waxtaan bi di ñaan yeneen parti yi nag da bu ñu fogee bunte yi nañ nangu ngel la bépp politicien bi nekk ci réewi Gambie nga ne yow mënoo toog jàkkaarloog sa morom ngeen waxtaan bala kenn sànnil karta parce que jamono boobu dafa weesu man awma benn intérêt politique bokkuma ci benn political party Gambia ma ñor waaye Gambia bi ñu ñor nag kim ñor ni ñun war ngaa am sañ-sañu ñëw jaay sa marchandise ñun doomi Gambie ñu jënd sa marchandise loolu la ñoo ñaan di leen jërëjëfal honorable Halifa Sallah di la wax jërëjëf bu baax di la ñaanal yàlla wér ak wérle ak gudda fan ñun yëpp ñu ngi taataan ci yow di jàngee ci yow di royee ci yow ma wax leen na fii 1995 buñ toogee 96 ñu ne nguuri sordaar la maa ngi nekk xale bu ndaw di liggéey Radio 1 American Embassy indi ay xaalis ndaxam ma xaw ma woon dara sax waaye ñu tànnoon ma ne dangaa liggéey ak Halifa Sallah ak Patient Sonko Godwin moom la woon ñu ñëw Radio 1 FM ñuy wax ci référendum bi jógee foofu wax ci constitution bu ees bi te loolu li ma ci jàngee woon bari na torop docteur Ismaila Ceesay mii bu ma tàmbalee Paradise TV yow laa njëkk a oo ne la kaay nga toog ak ñun ñuy waxtaani politique ndeke yow yaa ngi doon ut nguur sa di ut réew bi man xaw ma ci woon dara waaye man nag di taataan ci yow di jàngee ci yow ñu def suñ cambia politico di askan gi kon nag yéen ñaari kilifa yii nii boo la ñëwee fii ngeen waxtaan nii rek laa mën a mel di leen wax jërëjëf Ceesay di la ñaanal wér ak wérle di la ñaanal gudda fan ak nga yàgga suñ kanam yéen ñaar ku ci am réew mi ànd nañoo yow jërëjëf. kontaan naa torop jërëjëf
We live in a day and age where technology is creating a world without borders, filled with unlimited potential to improve the lives of the people around us. Innovarex Global Health ushers in a new way of leveling the playing field with increased access to quality healthcare services delivered at your doorstep. Our qualified professionals are equipped with state-of-the-art point-of-care testing technology to conduct tests such as kidney function, liver function, electrolyte tests, body composition, hemoglobin, A1C, and many more services with the highest efficiency in delivering results. The addition to our flagship Wellness on Wheels, more fondly known as WOW Delivery Service, brings the entire clinical experience full circle. IGH has remained committed to creating the future of healthcare delivery. Gone are the days of sending loved ones outside the country for basic medical services. Innovarex Global Health offers a new peace of mind and takes pride in delivering the quality of care we all deserve. We live in a day and age